Good morning. This is Tom with the Tractor Rescue Ranch. It is April 3rd, and we got about 4 more inches of snow last night, and we've still got, I think, 8 or 10 inches in the forecast for the next few days. On April 3rd, we already had probably 2 feet of snow left on the surface out there. Been a great winter for moisture. Now I'm starting to wonder if it'll ever warm up for the grass to grow with all this moisture next spring or in the summer. Anyway, I thought I'd do a final video on the 8N Ford, give you a little bit of a breakdown of how much I spent on it, what I've got into it, and whether it might have been worth it to do. Give you some of my thoughts. Today is going to be a clean up the workshop day. I have a tendency when I got a big project going on to let my workshop get to be quite a mess. So that's my project for today, is clean the workshop up. It's too nasty to get started on my next project. So that's where we're at. I'll sit down and get some paperwork with some numbers on it and go through it for you. Okay, this 8N Ford, we paid $500 to purchase the tractor, and I put $1,364 into the parts. Now, that was not a complete rebuild or a complete restoration. There was no way you could afford to do that on that and come out ahead. So that's a total of $1,864 that we've got into it. Now, I'm guessing that I have maybe 40 hours of work in it. I didn't keep track of the hours because that's really not that important to me on a project like this, because I'm retired for one thing and I just love doing this. But I'm guessing maybe $40 or 40 hours on that project. So if I was to charge somebody else to do this project, I would have charged $1,200 of labor on it. That's probably just a bare minimum on the time I spent, because I fiddled around with the camera, filming and stuff, and that took a little longer. I'm sure I spent more than 40 hours working, but I'm thinking it was probably a good 40 hours on just the actual work on it. So that's $3,064 if you added the hours into it. And I've been watching lately on our local Facebook marketplace for the region here, and there's several 8N Fords for sale, and they're ranging from about $2,500 to $3,500 on that, depending on what kind of shape they're in. And so even with the hours added in, I think I'm still right in the middle of what that tractor's probably worth right now in this area. So not counting my hours, we're quite a bit ahead of it. And that tractor's running perfect now. I delivered it here this weekend, and I got a little bit of video that I'll put on the end here of my son Andrew playing around with it there at his homestead in Idaho. So all in all, I think it was worth doing. He's got a tractor that'll help last him on his homestead for the rest of his life, probably however long he stays down there. It wouldn't probably be a good idea to rely on it to do farming, because if you've got a crop in the field or something, you need to rely on the tractor. You got to have something very reliable. But if he just uses it to push some snow, or to uses it in his gardening or whatever there, if it breaks down, we'll just fix it again. So it's pretty easy to get by with an old tractor like that in that situation. So anyway, it was a really fun project, and I really appreciate everybody's input that they've put in comments. I got a bunch of really good comments from people that I know are very more knowledgeable than I am, being a pretty good mechanic, but I've never messed with an 8N Ford before, so some of it was a learning curve for me, and I appreciate all of those comments. This project really forwarded the amount of subscribers that I have on the channel. I don't know, most of you subscribers haven't probably seen what my intent here is with this channel. My intent never was to monetize this YouTube channel. My original intent was just to document what I was doing for my children and grandchildren. I think it's really a neat way to kind of journal what you're doing with your life, and then it'll be available on YouTube for your posterity to watch and to be interested in. So that was my original intent, but I still need about 400 more subscribers to get into the bottom end of the monetization, and that would be cool if I did get to the point where I could get a little bit of money out of YouTube. I'd spend it all on tractor parts. I've got a whole fleet of tractors here at the house that I don't have much video on, but almost every one of them was saved from the scrapyard. And I've done this very same thing that I did with the 8N to them. And I just love having them around and playing with them. But if I got any money from YouTube, I could sure use some more money to buy parts to fix them up better than they are. So that would be my intent. So if anybody would like to share what we're doing here, get me some more subscribers, that would be really appreciated. And continue to share your comments, and hopefully you'll be interested in the future videos that I do. I've got some big ideas on future projects if my budget will last. I want to fix up my workshop better. I want to pour a cement floor out in the manger part. This is kind of like a loafing shed workshop. The south facing is open, and so I'm wanting to pour a concrete floor in the rest of the shop and frame it in with some good garage doors and insulate it. So that's a project I'm wanting to do. Another project I'd just love to do, my father owned an old circular sawmill when I was a kid. So I've got that in my blood. When I was really young, I helped him. I didn't help much. I probably hindered him more, but I worked with him on building that old circular sawmill. And so I've got that in my blood, and I've got a great passion for that old kind of technology. But what I'd like to do is build a swing blade sawmill. I've got the old band sawmill that I made from scratch, and it's just so cumbersome trying to turn the log every time, and the blades are so costly that I'd like to change to a circular sawmill. And those swing blade sawmills are really cool. So that would be another project I'd like to do if I had the budget. And then there's always tractors. Every day I look at the Facebook Marketplace, and then out of northern Utah there, the KSL has a WANADS place that's got a lot of equipment listed. So I'm looking for another project like the 8N that I could do and come out ahead on it, just for the fun of doing it and to create content. If I had another project like that 8N on the YouTube channel, I'd be there as far as subscribers if it took off as much as this one did. So that's where we ended up here with this project. And I thank you. Thanks for coming along for the ride and watching. And we'll talk with you later. We made it on our trip. Left and up. Well, that took quite a bucket full.
Did it? I made you just want to spread the dirt out here. I don't like the pile.
Well, it dumps all at once.
What?
It dumps all at once.
Oh, yeah.
This 8N is a 1948, and it started its life here in Blackfoot, Idaho, and close to Blackfoot, and it's back for another, I don't know, another 50 years, hopefully, back close to Blackfoot, Idaho. Boy, it does a good job of scooping up that dirt. That works better than it did pushing snow with no weight on the back end.